Hey guys, Fourfinger here, and I wanted to make a quick tier list for 0.3 leveling, and the thing that we're actually comparing here is how fast can you get through the campaign with specific skill gem archetypes. So we're comparing stuff like maces, bows, elemental skills, and so on. I'm gonna give you my 2 cents for each of those and what's like best to level with, but keep in mind you are somewhat limited on your classes, meaning the skill tree starting points, but you can still have some options on almost all of the classes, which is really nice. And with that being said, if you just wanna have fun, you can do whatever you want. If you're just looking to be a bit faster, maybe you'll find some useful tips, so let's just jump into this. Okay, so let's start the tier list by talking about spears first. And honestly, I think spears are great in the endgame, they scale really well, but when it comes to leveling speed, I would probably say that they are the worst archetype. I'm not saying that you can't use them and can't level up with them, it's just comparing it to all the other stuff, they definitely felt the slowest, in my experience. So for those reasons, I'm gonna put them in C. I don't think I'm gonna put anything in D, because like I said, you can still have decent speed with all of those with enough practice, but damage-wise, because they are one-handed weapons, they are not scaling as well as some of the other stuff, and there's a reason why nobody levels up with one-handed maces besides some few niche builds. It's just less damage with one-handers, and for that reason I'm gonna put it in C. But if you do wanna level up with spears, the best way to do it is like with Whirling Slash, Twister, and then putting the Frozen Locust on top for the Chill Ground. So your gameplay will pretty much be triple Whirling Slash into Frozen Locust into Twisters. It's gonna empower them to do more damage. All the other spear skills, they are really great later on once you have enough flat damage. If you ever like level the twin character with Tangle Tongue and stuff like that, they're amazing. But before that point, they just feel really bad. Really low damage, they're not that fast. Obviously, you can have decent movement with Disengage, but you can also use this now on any like other archetype. So yeah, I think they're deserving of the tier that I gave them. Obviously, later on you will use Barrage and Sniper Mark to get a little bit more damage on Twisters, but still, they're definitely the worst one in my experience. So what's next? We do have bows. When it comes to bows, I think they are 100% S tier in the endgame, but when it comes to actual leveling, I don't think they're that OP. They might be in this pair because they've added a lot of new stuff, so for that reason I'm gonna put them in A. Before the new stuff I probably have put them in B, because they're as mid as it gets. Like Lightning Rod, Lightning Arrow is really mid. They're not OP, they're just, you know, line up some rods, do Lightning Arrow, pop Salvo on top and stuff like that. I think they were B before, but right now I think bows are gonna be A actually. And the way that I would level up the bows is, now with all of those new like freezing additions to snipe and stuff like that, you would still use like Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod, but every time you have freezing salvo ready, you would first use Escape Shot to get extra fragments for salvo, then you would put down the Sniper Mark, then you would salvo, and if you proc the freeze on the bosses, you would go Barrage and Snipe. And while you're waiting for freeze to restart and for salvo to restart, you would just fill the gap with Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod. I think this is going to be a really good leveling setup, but until we see the actual like how it looks in-game and how good the freezing salvo with Escape Shot will be, it's gonna be hard to decide. But for right now, it's just a lot of skills. Like if you wanna have max damage, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 buttons. I know that's not for everyone, and if you don't wanna do that, you can go, you know, follow classic Lightning Arrow, Lightning Rod, freezing salvo builds. I just think this is gonna be a really good synergy on top. So bows, in my opinion, are gonna be A, and there's also a lot of that new Chaos reworks that also might be good, but really hard to tell right now. So that's just my 2 cents on the bow. Let's go next. Quarterstaves. Well, I used to like main Quarterstaves and Monk, so I did the first race with the Quarterstaves. I got, I think, 2nd place when I actually played it, and they've been S tier before for leveling, but after all of the nerfs in 0.2, I would have put them in C with the spears, but because there's that Hollow Palm stuff that we have right now, I'm gonna give them B. Because there might be some cool like Hollow Palm builds that use Quarterstaves really well. I definitely wouldn't put it above, because I think Hollow Palm is gonna be really balanced, because like most people said, GGG has the numbers and they can really like dictate it just with one keystone. So I don't think they're ever gonna be OP, they're just gonna feel really smooth to play on Hollow Palm, so I'm gonna put them here on B. And when it comes to actual abilities, I'm not sure if you guys played Quarterstaves before, they used to be broken with bells. Like later on you would get Elemental Invocation and put like Eye of Interral or Ball of Lightning earlier and destroy bosses. Like you could kill bosses in 3 seconds, but in 0.2 they pretty much nerfed everything. Like bells couldn't like be multiple spawned at the same time, you couldn't like get like, now you're getting extra damage instead of like conversion and stuff like that. It's just way less damage on the bell, and that was like the main bossing ability. And when it comes to all the other stuff, people mainly started leveling with Frozen Locust, which also got nerfed in 0.3 now, because it no longer can be spammed on bosses, so this is also gone like for spamming when it comes to boss damage. So pretty much good boss early on is going to be Glacial Cascade, and as you level up, what I would transition into if I actually play the Quarterstaves is like I would go Tempest Flurry, then into Tempest Bell. Once I proc the shock on bosses, I would use Siphoning Strike to get the power charge, and then I would do Infernal Strike, Falling Thunder. So my rotation would be Tempest Flurry, into Bell, into getting the power charge, into Falling Thunder, and then on top of it you can also add Combat Frenzy for additional power charges and stuff like that. But that's probably what I would level up with as a monk. Obviously later on you can get charge stuff as well to get some extra damage on top. And there's certainly some really good interactions with Flicker Strike and Gathering Storm, but this is like really late in the campaign, like almost early maps, so yeah. Overall I think Quarterstaves are gonna be mid right now. There's no great bossing early on. Clear is really mid compared to the other stuff, so B is definitely more than good enough for Quarterstaves. Let's go for the next one. Okay, Maces. Maces used to be S tier 100%, they were the most OP stuff. If anybody watched like Angormus do his speedruns, there is nothing that comes even close to Maces. But they did receive huge nerfs, let me just show you so you guys know. Infernal Cry basically went from doing 100% extra damage as extra fire to doing 32 at level 3 and then scaling up to 49. Like, this is a huge nerf, and also it used to scale to 140 if you had quality, but without quality it was 100, now it's 32. So that's a huge downside for the Perfect Strike, and then Perfect Strike on top of that also got a nerf, which went down from like, when it comes to overall damage multiplier, so combining this with the nerf to Infernal Cry, and then also when it comes to filters, I think I've seen that the premeditation is gone as well. If you go here, you can check the removed items. Premeditation is also gone. It's not renamed, it's actually removed, if this is actually true, which means they're losing a huge chunk of damage on Perfect Strikes. But they still have an amazing clear. You can still level up warriors so easily by doing Rolling Slam into Bone Shatter with animation cancelling, and then you just put the support gem for the Shockwave, whatever it's called, the Impact Shockwave, and this is an amazing clear. And now with no weapon switch time, I think you're gonna be able, even though like Shield Charge got a big nerf when it comes to maces in damage terms, I think Warrior, who has a crazy melee damage starting tree, like melee, it's all increased damage, and then you on top of it you can also get some extra fizz here down as well. I think there's gonna be some really cool interaction with weapon switching where you just go Shield Charge, and then as soon as you shield charge, you insta-bone shatter and destroy everything. It could be really great clear and really great movement at the same time. And if it's not, you're just gonna go the usual. Start off rolling slam with bone shatter, and then you're just gonna switch into leap slam instead of the rolling slam. And your entire gameplay will be jump, bone shatter, everything dies around you. That's your clear. But for the single target, I think we're gonna have to find something new. Perfect Strike is still gonna be great early on. It still has crazy damage scaling, good support gems to like make it strong, but in terms of pure damage it's gonna be way less. So I'm gonna see how the new skills are gonna be for bossing, but if the warrior does have some decent bossing skill with new, like totem reworks and all the stuff like that, I would put it in S tier. Just because, like I said, it has everything. It has movement, it has a great clear, it has armor, which is really good for leveling, but it does suck in endgame. For leveling, armor is definitely the best defense, because the mobs don't hit that hard. So the formula actually works kind of for you, especially if you have some skill tree nodes. So I'm definitely putting maces in S. This is just like my 2 cents for it right now. If the boss damage is like a bit worse, I'm gonna put it in A as well. But for right now, what I assume is going to happen, the maces are still gonna be S tier. Maybe it's rage bait. We'll see, guys. We'll see. Next off, we have Occultist, or however you pronounce Occult. Or is it Occultist or just Occult? I don't know how to pronounce this, but yeah. This is honestly great overall. Like, clear is amazing. You do classical contagion, essence drain, everything dies around you by just using those 2 abilities. Then once you can also, once you get to Dark Effigy Totem, also use Despair with the Decaying Hex, and then you should also use Poison, because for each like Chaos debuff on the enemy, Dark Effigy is gonna do more damage. I think this is amazing till Act 3. After Act 3, it just starts dropping off on boss damage, but it's still okay. It's not bad by any, like, terms. It's just not OP, but clear-wise, it's always OP. This is probably one of the best clearing, like, setups in the game. And if you play Demon form, You can also use stuff like Bone Storm because it's actually gonna scale it as well with the more spell damage. And I think there's that guy who won most of the races is Infernalist. He made it to tier 50 maps in like 7 hours. Although Demon Form got a slight leveling nerf right now, because you can use weapons and you get more damage, which is gonna scale really well in the end game, but for leveling it's gonna be a bit worse. Overall, I would say that Occult is A tier. Like, it has some really decent spells, and when it comes to minions, I never leveled up with minions, I have no idea, but just because of Contagions, Essence Drain, Bone Storm, and Dark Effigy, I think it deserves an A. Like, it 100% deserves an A, because it's really easy to play, it's really easy to scale defenses, especially if you go Lich and stuff like that, so I think this is more than fine. Crossbows. Crossbows are definitely in same tier like bows and occultists, especially this patch. I think there's a lot of new niche buff that they gave it that's gonna make crossbows really nice. When it comes to the actual abilities, I think Fragmentation Round combined with Permafrost Bolt is gonna be decent clear now, because the explosions can chain, and this is gonna have way more freeze buildup. So you can do like Permafrost Bolt, Fragmentation Rounds, and probably get a little bit better clear than what we had before. Explosive Grenades, OP as they always was for bossing, they do have a delay. Some people don't like it, but it's definitely great damage, especially now that you can use multiple grenades with Scatter Shot, because we're no longer limited in only one support gems. I think crossbows are gonna really pop off. And then on top of it, if you do actually wanna play Deadeye, you can use stuff like Explosive Shot to double the damage, and you also get the Pierce, because Pierce is actually gonna again double the damage of Explosive Shot, because if you just hit the enemy, it's insta gonna explode, but if you have Pierce, it's gonna go through the enemy and then explode, doubling the damage. So Deadeye is also like gonna empower crossbows quite a bit, even though they already did. With all of the addition of the support gems, I think crossbows are looking great. Like, grenades are amazing damage, and when it comes to other combos, they've buffed the Galvanic Shards, even though you're gonna have one bolt. If you get additional bolts and stuff like that, I think it's a damage boost overall from what I've seen. So, not sure if that's what they planned, but it's also gonna be great clear, I think. Rapid Shot got nerfed. Ice Shards are kind of feared when you're playing solo. There's a cool build you can do with duo players, where one guy can spam shards, and the other guy can pick that unique, I think, gloves that can pull enemies into the shards. That's kind of fun, but overall I don't think Ice Shards are gonna be that played. Ballistas are probably gonna be great this patch, especially when you combine it with Tactician and stuff like that. I think they're gonna be really nice. Explosive Shot is a great skill, like, it detonates grenades, it has really good damage, good for clear. Explosive Shot is really great. Glacial Bolts got destroyed. They are no longer able to now instantly deal damage, so I think this is just dead, and it's mostly gonna be used support if you wanna like chain stuff off of the walls. It just doesn't feel great. That's my 2 cents on the Glacial Bolt. Voltaic Grenade is there just to build up the Electrocute, so it's just gonna do more build up right now, so that's, I guess, nice. Storm Bolts is interesting. I think you're gonna be able to combine this with the Magnetic Salvo, and because this fires 3 bolts per one hit and it has 100% attack speed from the crossbows, you could do like 2 weapon swaps. One weapon swap can have full attack speed on Storm Blast, and then you can spawn like a bunch of them and just do Magnetic Salvo. So gameplay would be Storm Blast, Storm Blast, Storm Blast, Magnetic Salvo, and you keep doing this over and over again. That could be really, really interesting, because Magnetic Salvo does work on bolts. It says bolts or arrows, I've tested it. This can be really interesting, but we will see. And then Oil Grenade just for the exposures. Hellstorm Round is pretty much the equivalent of the Raining Arrows from the bow, which is shit, at least in my opinion. Shock Burst Rounds, even though they have less damage, they doubled the shock duration, so I think they're gonna still be OP as hell, even better than what they were before, because you won't have to refresh shock as often, so that's a huge deal. Emergency Reload is a great buff. I think they should like reduce the cooldown a little bit. I think 45 seconds is too much. That's just my 2 cents on it, not much to say. Siege Cascade is dead. They buff the damage, but they remove 200% more against immobilized enemies, so I don't think it's gonna be as good as it was before. So yeah, I wouldn't play this. Plasma Blast is going to get 50% more shock magnitude, so you can pretty much use crossbows on any other weapon archetype as a weapon switch and easily reach 100% shock, which is gonna double your damage. I think you're obviously gonna have to invest a little bit on the weapon switch on the tree with the weapon skill set points, but I think it's just gonna be really great. And then the last thing, Cluster Grenades also got a huge buff. So grenades are looking great. Using multiple supports is going to work really well for the crossbows, so I think they're in a really good spot. I think A is really where they belong, so yeah, that's the crossbows. And then the final thing that we have is the elemental skills. Honestly, this one is the hardest of all of them to tell if it's gonna be good or not. It's all gonna depend on infusions, because infusions could be OP, they could suck, I have no idea, it's really gonna depend. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. I think a lot of abilities are still cool, they got huge buffs in terms of mana, in terms of damage scaling, and infusions on top of that are also good. You can see some crazy like interactions like with infusions. So all of the abilities, there's nothing crazy OP anymore. I would say like Spark got nerfed before, like Arc is gonna be really cool, people are gonna try it on Deadeye 100%. It's gonna be decent clear, but the thing that I'm mostly looking for is Mjolnir things with the elemental skills, because if there's some way to automate like lightning infusions and then play Arc on top of it with Mjolnirs, that could be a really cool build. And now Mjolnirs can also be level 20 and have be 6 linked, which is really OP. We'll see how it turns out. I'm just gonna put it in B for now because I really don't know how it's gonna play out, so I think that is fair. And when it comes to like what side of the skill trees you can pull those off, I mean, maces are obviously gonna be best on the bottom side, near the warriors. There's so much like melee and two-handed weapon nodes that are really great, like this one, then you have this one. If you play Perfect Strike, you also have huge ignite magnitude. There's also extra damage here, decent amount of armor, so maces are definitely bottom side, but you can also play them, let me just open POB. You can definitely play them even on stuff like Amazon, but not really on the, what's called, the Ranger. If you go Amazon, you can start things off with this. This is gonna give you more than enough damage, some attack speed and dex for accuracy. Even though accuracy is not gonna be a big deal anymore for mace skills, but you can start off here, then go here for those skills, and then work towards here. Even though it's some pathing points, it's not that worse than just going into normal stuff that you would by picking stuff here on the tree. It's not that much further away, and as soon as you get to this point, you're pretty much having the same tree as the warrior. So I think hunters can level up with maces, but they can also do bows and crossbows, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. In general, if you're warrior, go maces. If you are playing the mercenary, I would actually go crossbows. There's so much projectile stuff and two-handed things on the tree early on, it's just crazy for the first like 3 acts. Later on, it's still, depending on the build that you pick, it still keeps scaling on some of them, while others drop off, but I think Crossbows Mercenary is gonna be like A tier 100% for leveling. You can also do maces if you wanted on Merc, you can also go similar to Warrior, just not early on. I would still start off Crossbows till like here, and once you get a couple more points, then I would respec and go for the mace stuff, but that's really up to you. When it comes to Ranger, I would 100% play bows, not much options there, because for Rangers you don't really have the early node for damage, they're all projectile, so it's not really good, and having to use like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points just to start getting increases early on, it's not something that I would do. But if you wanna, again, level up with bows to a certain point and then respec into maces, you could. I just don't think it's gonna be that better on the Deadeye because of all of the projectile stuff. I would definitely go with bows. You can also go crossbows. So either bows or crossbows for the Ranger. For the Huntress, again, maces, bows, or crossbows. Monk-wise, I don't think crossbows are that great, because attack speed doesn't really benefit the grenades that much and most of the other skills. So I wouldn't go crossbows, but you can go bows and maces. But maces are also a bit rough. They're gonna feel great in the first 2 acts, but after you get like the starting nodes, let me just show you. If you go maces and you go like for usual increased damage, some skill speed, it's gonna make them feel really good because they're gonna be way faster. But the more you level up, you're gonna reach to a point where you don't have good nodes to pick, and you would have to go all the way down here, because you have a couple of those increased attack damage nodes, and then most of the other stuff is elemental. And elemental damage is not gonna buff your Bone Shatter and your Rolling Slams. And if you go for physical increases and stuff like this, that's not gonna buff your Perfect Strike if you still wanna go Perfect Strike or any like fire skill like Volcanic Fissure and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how good Monk is gonna be with maces later on, but you can start it if you wanted to. And then finally, if you're top side of the tree, especially if you're playing like stuff like Fidge, you're definitely going Occultist. You can get so much like Chaos nodes like early on. I think there's crazy amount, so it's really, really good to start things off on the top side of the tree. Later on, I know, like I said, after Act 3, it kind of drops off in boss damage. If the infusion stuff is good, you can respec into Elemental, but until we know for sure, I would stick with the Chaos all the way till the end game, so that's pretty much it, boys. Like, if you guys don't agree with any of those, let me know what and why. If there's any, like, super cool build that I didn't know until now, which is really hard because I've watched all of the races, I've tried all of the things myself. If there is something that I've missed, please let me know. I would definitely like to know about it, so yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys found this useful. If you have any questions, and I mean anything, let me know. I had a lot of free time on my hands for the last 2 months. I was unemployed, so feel free to shoot. Also join the Discord server, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.